Now, community members, in ancient cultures, drumming served many functions, from communication between tribes and villages to declarations of war, for celebrations such as winning in battle, birth, marriage, and death announcements, and as a ritual means to the ancestors and healing. We are honored that members of Heritage OP are joining us again this year to share the sound resonating and reverberating effects of sound in our healing, to soothe our minds and encourage us to embrace drumming or music as a part of our mental healing. Community members, Heritage OP. There he is. All right.
Yeah.
Welcome. Welcome,
Welcome.
Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure to be back. And actually, one of the other members of Heritage OP might be joining us. He talked to me just about maybe 3 minutes ago. So although I'm not going to hold my breath, if he comes here, it's fine. If he doesn't make it, it's going to be fine either way. But my name is Kevin Nathaniel. I'm with a group called Heritage OP, and the OP stands for Organic Percussion. And we have been together for several years, since probably 96 or 97, more than several years. But more than that, we have been involved with the art of music and the art of drumming, the art of percussion for since very since we were children, basically. So it's something we do. And I want to just be clear that drumming is kind of misunderstood in our culture here in the United States, wherever part of the quote unquote Western world. Drumming a lot is largely misunderstood, and so oftentimes it's thought of as something to keep the beat, or something for entertainment, or something to for parties, or something to for people to support whatever kind of music is going on. But in the ancient traditions of drumming, drumming is a very ancient language. So in many parts of Africa, drumming is very closely linked to the actual language of the region. So that when someone speaks the language, oftentimes the language that they speak has drum rhythms inside the vocal arrangement of the language. And then when they play the drum speaks oftentimes the vocal arrangements of the actual spoken language. So, so the drums do far more, and they have a far deeper connection to the human evolvement. In fact, as I always say, um, people know that there are these Chinese characters. One is for medicine and one is for music, and they're extremely similar. But I would say go so far as to say that medicine actually comes from music, not the other way around. Medicine comes from music. And that music is, of course, our most universal early language of human interaction, and that from those musical interactions, we began to find what things resonate well with the spirit and with the soul and with the health, and that is, should I say, the beginnings of medicine. So without further ado, I'm going to go into a song, a drum piece that is from West Africa. This piece that I'm going to play is going to be played on a shakeré. Let me see if I can do the spotlight thingy here. There we go. Okay, so I'm playing. This instrument is called shakeré, and the shakeré is a kind of a drum in itself, but it's an instrument that probably predates drums that are made out of wood because it is all natural calabash and a gourd that grows out of the ground. When you grow a gourd out of the ground and empty it out, you will have a vessel that sounds a bit like a drum. So when you strike it on the bottom, it has a drum sound. And then the beads on the outside give you a rattle sound. So this instrument has been used for healing in Africa for centuries. No one can put a date on this instrument. Perhaps if you tried, you would probably be going back 40, 50, 60,000 years. That's how far you'd be going back in human history. So with that, I'm going to be playing this rhythm. It's called Dundumba. There's many different Dundumba rhythms, but Dundumba rhythms encourage and increase strength. So that if you are feeling that you need to be stronger, or if you want to encourage strength in the people, then you play the Dundumba rhythms. It inspires a kind of internal strength within the body. And this is not something that I'm making up. This is actually something that's very true, and that could probably do some clinical research studies on it and find it to make clear sense. And it's part of the folklore of it too. So anyway, this is called Dundumba. I'm going to start it, and I'm going to ask that as you listen to it, think about and imagine yourself being very strong. Imagine yourself being very strong. Okay, here we go. If the shaker is too loud, be careful, because it has some shrill sound, so be careful not to let your ears get blown out. Dundumba. Thank you. Okay, that rhythm was called Dundumba, and that rhythm is very popular throughout West Africa. It's most popular probably in Guinea. There are many different parts of West Africa where they play the Dundumba rhythm. In Guinea, there's a section of Guinea where the people they literally really gather together a lot for Dundumba. There's one area where it's particularly popular among the men, and they pride themselves in strength contests. But the women have strength contests too in Dundumba. Um, and they do all sorts of acrobatics when the rhythm starts going strong because of course when music is played at a certain intensity, then of course it can help you to break beyond barriers, physical barriers, and that happens all the time. So when the music is played with a certain kind of intensity, then you no longer see yourself as maybe being unable to do something because suddenly the rhythm and the music takes you to a place where you feel like you can do it and you can do it. So people are doing amazing uh, physical feats and able to push their bodies beyond the normal limits of their bodies. And it's mostly comes from a certain kind of electrical connection that comes to the music because the music, of course, as I said, was created thousands and thousands of years ago. And, just as acupuncture was created thousands of years ago, you're talking about people in a time in which uh, people, certain people in certain societies or groups of people were so sensitive to what the human body and what its connection with nature and the elements around us were, that those things could be experienced in a very real way. Exactly what the effect of a rhythm would be on the body. It was a real tactile experience. But it carries through to this day. So we aren't different people than we were back then, but we just are surrounded by noisy cities. Sometimes that part of us which is so in touch with these things, these subtle things that can improve our health, is not so easy to reach into. So that rhythm is called Dunba. You can look it up on YouTube. Dundunba. Dundumba. Usually, when something says ba at the end of an African word, it means big, right? So you say, if I say I'm Kevin Ba, I'm Big Kevin. So anyway, Dundumba. Now I'm going to play a rhythm that is also from West Africa. I'm not when I say that I'm playing these rhythms, these are rhythm categories because Dundumba is a rhythm category. There's a lot of Dundumbas. So somebody might come to you tomorrow and say, I'm going to play Dundumba. It'll sound very different from what I play because these are rhythm categories where there are several other subgroups and other rhythms that someone asked me to spell Dundumba. D-U-N-D-U-N-B D-U-N-D-U-N-B-A. Dundumba. Um, Sometimes you would hear it spelled D-O-U-N, D-O-U-N-B-A. Either way, you'll find it. Now I'm going to play another rhythm that comes out of West Africa. This rhythm is called Lamban. Again, when I say Lamban, it's a rhythm category because there's a lot of Lambans. There's a lot of Lamban rhythms. And Dunumba, it would go into what we call 6/8. Its percussion is called 6/8. It's a rhythm that's founded in being able to count it in cycles of 6, but also being able to count it in cycles of 4 and 12, and several other number groups. But this next rhythm I'm going to play is called Lamban. It's more 4/4. It's more recognizable in terms of a groove that people here in the United States would be familiar with. Dunumba, sorry, let me go back to Lamban. Lamban, by the way, has different elements of the Lamban rhythm which are used to heal mental illness, specifically parts of Lamban rhythms. Some of the Lamban rhythms are used to heal mental illness. And that's also something that goes back in ancient music, in ancient music practice, and ancient rhythm science in West Africa. So here's Lamban. I'll play on Shaker Ray too. I'm enjoying playing these rhythms on Shaker Ray because I can play more than one drum part on the Shaker Ray, and it's just all here in my hands. I don't have to reach around and play a bunch of different stuff. So here it is. Okay, Lamban. Thank you. So that rhythm is called Lamban. There are countless other rhythms. I'm, just coming from a few different points of view. And by the way, these rhythms, they don't just end and disappear once you leave Africa, because of the fact that all throughout the diaspora, you hear these rhythms expressed in and diaspora music, African diaspora music. If you heard the rhythm Lamban, if you listen to enough of the music of the Spinners, you're going to hear Lamban over and over again. OJs, you're going to hear Lamban all over again. Just with, you're going to hear the same rhythms. You're going to hear those rhythms running all through this music. So these rhythms, it never ended in Africa. They expanded and keep expanding. They keep moving around in all different sorts of musical styles. But just to understand what you are hearing when you hear that you're hearing very ancient rhythms that many of them have medicinal sources, medicinal uses, and they are used to heal. And so there are many different. There are many more different rhythms. It just keeps going. But just the understanding that this whole culture of drum rhythms is a culture that is born out of healing and born out of the use of music as a tool for healing. The knowledge that music is a tool for healing. That's the power of it.